So after the Springboks pulled off the win at the Stade de France, they move on to yet again another November international. This one up against the Italians, a side that they have already met twice this year, winning both matches, and now we will see many changes compared to that match up against the French. It is myself and it is Vic from Vic and Vern Sports Chat. First of all, mate, massive win over France. That one's got to feel good for a South African in this case.
I think this is the biggest win of the rugby year for us. I think it's even bigger than the win that when we beat you guys, New Zealand, in Wellington, because of the whole red card situation, stuff like that. I thought it was massive. I was very impressed. Second half was phenomenal. No, I thought it was a good win. And, and it's always good to shut the French up because they were chirping a lot the whole week of revenge. Bloody revenge, man.
The second half for the Boks, like you said, it was game-changing in that matchup, similar to what we saw in that second half up against the Kiwis, how something just seemed to click. And it was that final kind of 15, 20 minutes where the Boks just stepped up a gear. And I mentioned about it at the time. When the red card was given to Ludiache, it almost seemed like France had gotten it because they dropped their tempo. And that's where Sio Kolisi, after the game, he kind of said it best, that was what motivated them. They've already played with 14 before, and they were ready for that type of challenge, and they certainly stepped up for it.
I agree with you with that. When that occurred, that red card, it's kind of like the South Africans, we kind of like that when we do it to ourselves as well. Rusty's very good at that. It's like everybody in the world's against us, World Rugby's against us. He kind of promotes that all the time to get the boys up for it. It's like we're always fighting against everybody. And I just think, I can imagine what he said at halftime. Look, they're trying to cheat us, boys. They take that's exactly what he was saying. We got to get up for it. And no, it was good. Okay, the yellow card from the French helped us as well there because that's when everything happened. When it was 14-14, you saw the Springboks kind of put the pedal to the metal and we made the difference in that minute. But a great win. I mean, look at the... And it was 15 points, which did help in the world ranking.
And you look at that front row and what they were able to do early on in the contest. Maybe not quite as much as Rassie wanted. We did see Boan Fenter taken off the field early on. So there are question marks around where he sits now in terms of the propping department. So for yourself, have you selected Boan for Rassie's front row here? You have?
Yes, I think he gets another chance against Italy. I've gone Boan Fenter, Johan Grobler, and Thomas du Toit. I've gone with those three.
Okay, so making quite a few switches compared to what we saw in the last match.
Yeah, I know we had Thomas du Toit off the bench last week. Boan Fenter did start, but I think we'll go that because we do need to give Malcolm Marx that rest.
Oh, so does that mean you've gone with Marco van Staden as your 16?
Yes.
All right, fair enough. Something that Rassie may look at doing. But for myself, I have stuck with Malcolm Marx in the number 2 jersey. I've gone Boan Fenter number 1 and actually Wilco Low as that number 3. I feel like if Rassie wasn't quite happy with Boan Fenter's scrummaging, who better to put in a front row with him than Wilco Low? A man who just seems to be able to dominate scrums when he makes his way off the bench or when he starts in a Springbok kit. Malcolm Marx, he was my man of the match in the game up against the French. I know that Sasha ended up receiving it, but Malcolm Marx, he hardly put a foot wrong throughout that 80 minutes. He had his lineouts accurate. He was able to get crucial turnovers in the breakdown, tackling machine. He was strong at scrum time too. So, yeah, I was definitely giving it to Marx. Don't get me wrong. Sasha had a great finish to the match, and that seemed to actually improve a lot more when we saw Marty Libok make his way off of the bench. But early on, I just don't think they were playing Sasha's style with that up and under type of matchup rather than allowing the young man to really show off his skills.
I agree. And I also think at the moment, everybody in World Rugby, Sasha's the new shiny toy. You know what I mean? Don't get me wrong, he played well. But look, had he made his kicks at the beginning, the game would have been a lot different in any case. Because, I mean, we missed the conversion. We missed 2 penalties. That's 8 points there that we let slide. And I do agree. I thought Malcolm Marx is phenomenal. And my Caleb Clark, because I know you like Caleb Clark. I thought Damon DeLinda again was sensational, especially him and Jesse Krill in those spots. Their defense was really needed when we went down to 14 guys.
Yeah, and that was probably exactly why Rassie did go with those experienced heads in that department. But front row, already we're making a couple switches. We will move on to the locking duo now, and I have made 2 switches compared to what we did see in that last contest. Of course, we are going to have one. We'll discuss Ludiache in just a moment. But for myself, I've gone number 4, Jean Klein. So he hasn't had any Springbok minutes in quite some time, but he is in the squad. You'd assume that Rassie will give him an opportunity either in this game or perhaps up against Wales in the final match. Eben Etzebeth, I don't think needs to play in this game. I think that he's proven himself enough. And also, we've got to remember those games in July, the Italians targeted Etzebeth. They were trying to really smash him throughout those contests. So I just don't think you need to risk an Etzebeth injury here when you've got that matchup up against Ireland just around the corner. Yes, Ireland maybe haven't looked their flashiest in their first 2 games, but you know for an absolute fact they will be up for the challenge up against South Africa. So you need your best in that locking duo. Some are debating whether or not that is still Etzebeth, but I think experience buys him that number 4 jersey for that matchup. And number 5, I would say at the moment one of the best, and that is Ruan Nokia. He has been absolutely phenomenal throughout the last couple of years. He's been stepping up massively for the Springboks. So Klein and Nokia, they are my locking duo.
I've gone with Nokia on the 5 as well. I've got Archie starting this one because I've got John Klein on the bench. Look, like you said, a lot of people, there's a lot of discussion. Is Eben still as good as he was? I think Eben is as good as he always was. I just think Ruan Nokia, Archie Snyman, Lutioka, I think they were not as good. And they've stepped up to his level. It's not like he's come down. I think more that they've gone up to his level and not that he's come down a level. That's what I see. Now, those are my 2. I would go Archie Snyman and Ruan Nokia.
So I guess now we have to talk about it, because if we don't, of course, it will be asked. But Lutioka, there's no report as of yet at the time of filming this what he's going to receive. In your opinion, knowing the way that these are normally handed out in terms of suspensions and whatnot, where do you see him sitting at? Do you see him playing at all throughout November, or do you think he's gone?
Look, I think because of some of the decisions that they've made. I mean, they gave, 8 games or whatever. I mean, I think it's a 3-game suspension. I think it is. Do I think it's correct? That's a different story. But I think he'll get 3 games. I don't think we see him in November anymore.
Yeah, and definitely not going to see him in this game up against Italy or Ireland. It was given as a direct red card, wasn't it? It was permanent red rather than the 20-minute, which is quite an interesting one too. I know that one's really split the opinions in terms of whether or not it was bad enough to be substantial for that card. But at the end of the day, I think, like we discussed beforehand, Rassie, as much as it will be annoying about Lutioka, look at the depth he's got at the moment in the locks. Like, they've got 4 world-class options outside of Lutioka. How many sides around the world can say that? When they lose a player to suspension, you've still got more than just the 2 in the starting lineup and a man off the bench worth of world-class players.
Look, I think Lutioka might be lucky. Maybe it's only a 2-game because he's not that kind of player.
Yeah,
you know, had this been Jasper Visser, we know it would have been 5 games because it would have been like, oh, he did it once already, he's going to do it again. But I just felt you could see it in he was shocked that he got the straight red card himself because there was no malice in it or anything like that. But when you saw it live, not on the slow-mo, I said to Vin, this is definitely yellow. They're going to upgrade this to red maybe later. But that they went on the field wasting all that time straight to red, where World Rugby has said, we want the game to flow. So give him a yellow card and we'll check it on the TMO afterwards and stuff like that. It was surprising to me that they basically stopped the clock and they discussed it on the field. That was the big surprise for me. And, he's a big man. He tried to get as low as he could. But look, I don't have a problem with it. I mean, we'll must probably discuss it later with, the French got their yellow card. I think him having a red card for that and the French getting a yellow card for knocking it on there deliberately. I mean, is that fair between that? I mean, that makes no sense to me. The yellow card threshold is for me way too low, and the red card this time as well, way too low. But it's okay. We have enough players. We shouldn't complain.
No, still a very stacked squad for Rassie in that regard. But we move on to the loose forward trio now. We did see Sia Kolisi, Peter Steptoe, and also Jasper Visser for the match up against the French. How many changes have you made for this match up against Italy?
I'm going. This is a tough one for me. This is a tough one. This is where I got Franco Mostert on the 7.
Okay. Yep.
Because we've seen that, and I've got Kwaka playing the the 6. And I'm going with Ben Jason Dixon on the 8.
Oh, okay. So making 3 switches
Yeah.
compared to what we saw last week. Quacker Smith out with the injury for last week, so you're assuming going to be back
I'm
ready to go.
assuming he's back again, yeah. I just thought we got to change it up a little bit because, I mean, okay, it is a week between every game, and it's kind of like a Rugby World Cup where you also have a week almost between every game. But I do think Rusty's famous for wanting to give people a chance. And I mean, why take all these players with you if you're not going to use them? I mean, we're not going to just use them all at the end of the November to play against Wales. I mean, yeah, you know, and as we can see, Wales. I mean, we could send a high school team to play against Wales. So play them now. You know, give them a little bit of support.
The poor Welsh, going through a hard patch at the moment, and you're just digging that knife in that little bit further. But I have also made quite a few switches in the Lewis Ford trio. I've gone number 6, Marco van Staden. Now, taking Sio Kolisi out of this lineup is, I think, something that the Springboks may do, but like I don't think it's one of those ones that there's any reason that they have to, if that makes sense. Like Sio Kolisi would play very well up against the Italians here. Although he did not play up against them in July, he actually missed both matches up against the Italians. But you also know that for that leadership and the way that Sio Kolisi plays, you want him out there on the field 100% up against the Irish. Yes. So similar to Eben Etzebeth, I don't think there's any need to risk him here. Yes, Italy got themselves that massive win over the Australians in the last round of the November internationals, but I think you stick a Springbok side in front of them and they will once again struggle a little bit more. So Marco van Staden, he is a player at the moment that a lot of people are 50-50 on, but it would be great to know that they've got a great 6 option as a backup if there was some sort of injury. For Sio Kolisi, number 7, I have gone with Franco Mostert. Like you said, he's played 7 before, and he actually has done pretty decently in that regard. Now, I was considering Ben Jason Dixon for that 7 jersey in this contest, and perhaps looking at Franco Mostert as the option off of the bench, but instead decided that Mostert, due to how he played up against Japan, I'll give him another run in this case. And then number 8, Jasper Wiese. I'm going with him again. It's risky because, of course, he has history with the Italians. We've got to remember that is the side that he decided to give the flying old headbutt to the Italian prop. But I think that Wiese, for me at the moment, unless they go Quacker Smith in that number 8 jersey, I'm not sure whether they'd take that risk of going Ben Jason Dixon just purely because of the lack of minutes that he has had as of late. This is where you actually do need someone like an Evan Ruiz or a Jano Augustus if he wasn't injured on standby. Would have been the perfect option. Or our boy, Vincent Tachuka, in that number 8 jersey, perhaps.
I am so disappointed that he's not getting more minutes because he played so well in those July internationals there. I thought, wow, we've got a new star coming up. I think, you know, somebody that can really back up. And then all of a sudden, bam, he disappeared. I mean, unbelievable.
And the thing is, he's still playing very well for the Sharks as well.
Very well.
You know, you're sticking him, he's been in about 4 different positions for the Sharks throughout this URC season, and he scored in 3 of them. So it's very good news for the loose forward
stocks. The kind of player that Rossi likes. Versatile, very versatile. You would expect that to be exactly Rossi's style, this hybrid, versatile player, but not in the reckoning at the moment.
Hopefully one day. I think that we'll see him before that World Cup once again getting a decent kind of run. But of course, then you've got all those injury returns that are happening just around the corner as well. Yeah. But jumping into the 9 and 10 combination, this is where once again it is very tricky to know what direction Russi's going to go in. Last match, it was Kobus Reinach alongside Sasha Feinberg and Ngume Zulu. I'm anticipating 2 changes here up against the Italians. I've got number 9, Grant Williams, number 10, Marnie Libok. Now, I was extremely tempted to go with the combination of Morne van den Berg and Hondre Pollard, purely because of the fact that they were actually the duo that started up against the Italians in the first test of July, but this was the combination that started in the second match up against Italy, the 45-0 victory for the Springboks. Grant Williams, great off the bench yet again. Marnie Libok, he has shown his world-class skills at the moment, and the fact that he kind of helped Sasha come alive in the later stages of the game. It seemed like once Marnie Libok was on the field, the game plan and the tactics all changed, and they went to that style of rugby that we've seen from South Africa throughout the Rugby Championship that got them over 100 points from 2 different matches. That was the style of rugby that was going to beat the French, and in the end, that was the style that did. They had to go aggressive on attack, and that's exactly what they were able to do.
No, that high risk rugby is working for us at the moment. You're going to have a game where it backfires. It's not every game is going to work out. But no, I've gone also Grant Williams at the 9, definitely. I think he'll start. I've got the backup. I've got Morne van der Berg as my backup, and I've gone Andre Pollard. I've got Pollard in there. I'm trying to appease all the people that were majorly upset because Pollard wasn't in the game against the French. I think Pollard will be in, but I don't have a problem with Marnie starting. But I don't think we see Sasha at all. I don't have him on the bench or anywhere. I think the kid needs a break. So I'm going Grant Williams, Andre Pollard against the Italians. The Italians do play a very brutal style of rugby. They like those hard tackles. Like you said, in the summer, we saw they were targeting Eben. I think there was I don't know, maybe they had a bet going on in the changing rooms who could knock Eben out the quickest. And we got a lot of penalties off that. So I think that's where Pollard starting with his good kicking, I think that could help us out. I can see us scoring a lot of penalties at the beginning against Italy. So I'm going Grant Williams, Andre Pollard.
And it's once again that scenario, isn't it? Similar to the locks. How many sides can say that their third choice per se at this current point in time, a player the quality of Andre Pollard?
You're getting yourself into trouble here. You're getting yourself into trouble.
I had to word it carefully because I could hear the comments getting typed out as I was talking. But
Andre Pollard, South Africa's third best kicker. Hamish. Oh,
I never said anything about the kicking, but just more so Rassi's rankings at the moment. But how does Rassi squeeze him in? That's the thing. You'd think that he was a given in the game up against Ireland, or at least you would have before the Rugby Championship, and even partly of the way through. But I think that Manie Libbok has had such a resurgence in his career in just the last 12 months because he was the guy that a lot of people were saying the Springboks can't move forward. Yeah, they were saying they can't move forward with him as a 10 option. But now he's almost earned people's respect. It's similar to what we saw about 3 or so years ago with Jesse Krill. I don't know whether or not you remember the era where Krill was just getting absolutely brutalized by the public. Yeah. Like our comment sections, I still sometimes go back and go, wow, that's worse than I remember it because no one wanted to see Krill anywhere near that 13 jersey. They didn't want to see him near a Springbok kit.
See, that's the difference. All these people, if it's Pollard now, if it's Krill before, you're all not Rusty. You're all not worthy. He's the guru. He knows what he's doing. I mean, we've got this coach that has done everything right? Brought us 2 world championships in a row, everything. Let's just trust the guy. I mean, it might 2027, all of a sudden Pollard might start every game again. You never know with Rusty. No. But no, I just think we're talking about Manie. I just think Manie, I mean, his surname, Libbok. A lot of people in South Africa, there's this word we say, Manie Libbok, which is, if you can imagine what that means in English.
I know what that means in English, yeah.
There you go. And
does that mean I'm going to have to censor it?
And all the people were a lot of people were saying it's Manie the whatever. And I felt, since he made that decision, since he came out and said, listen, I'm leaving the Stormers, I'm going off to Japan. I think like a weight has fallen off this man's shoulders. He's just come alive since then. He's been phenomenal. He's been one of South Africa's best players in the last 12 months.
And I also do think that hearing the words from Rassi, I'm backing Libbok as well, definitely did help him because when people turn their back on him, Rassi the whole time through has said, he's still our guy. We're still going to be picking him. Whether you guys want him to be in there or not, he is still going to be selected. And to have that level of faith in a player, obviously he's seen his potential and he was obviously right because at the moment, Libbok is pretty hard to deny being in that Springbok squad. But we will move on to the midfield combination. This is where it gets a little bit more tricky because the normal stock standard duo of Damien Dialendi and Jesse Krill, I think they're going to get a little bit of a break in this game here up against the Italians. So who have you selected instead for the 12 and 13?
I'm giving my man Delinda a break. I've got Esterhazen on the 12. And I'm keeping Jesse Krill in the side on the 13.
Okay. I wasn't expecting that, I'll be honest. I thought you were going different direction there.
I'm getting Andre Esterhazen and Jesse Krill. It's difficult because you would want Andre Esterhazen basically on the bench because of that hybrid flanker position that he can play. But now I'm going Andre Esterhuizen and Jesse Kriel for my two centers there.
Alrighty, so for myself, I have also gone with Andre Esterhuizen as that number 12. He seems to not have much out there on the field that he can't do at the moment. He's brilliant in the jackal. We've learned that from watching him as a loose forward for the Springboks. He's also a dangerous, powerful ball runner. Partners very nicely with a few of those other men in the Springbok back line. Number 13, this is where I've gone with Kanan Moody. Feel like we are going to see him feature at some stage and in some way up against the Italians, whether or not that's off the bench or perhaps moving back out onto the wing like he was playing earlier on in the year. But I think that him and Andre Esterhuizen, it is certainly a dangerous duo in that midfield combination. It's actually what South Africa went with in that second match up against the Italians as well. So at the moment, my first four of the back line are actually identical to what we saw up against Italy last time. So I'm trying to build some sort of cohesion and a little bit of consistency in there too. But yeah, overall, once again, whoever they select, it's going to be pretty dangerous for the Boks as well.
Andre Esterhuizen, I think, is just, I mean, he was very unlucky. I mean, he's 31 years old. If you look at him now, the way he's playing, he should have way more caps. But I mean, he's just been unlucky with all the good players that has been in front of him.
Yeah,
and now he's getting his chance. And I mean, I think he's one of the players that is nailed on for that World Cup because he is such a versatile player. I think he doesn't have to worry if he keeps this up. This projection, I think he doesn't have to worry that he's not on the plane to Australia.
He had that patch at the Harlequins, didn't he? How everyone each and every year was saying how strong of a player he was and that he should have been given some sort of opportunity in that Springbok kit. And, you know, to his credit, even in a side that did seem like they had confirmed centres, he has still proven why he definitely should be there. He's been able to step up to the level that was expected and actually go above that because of the fact that he's offered that hybrid type of player. And in fact, this is a controversial one, but I would argue that had he not offered that hybrid loose forward position, probably struggling for minutes in some regards because of the fact that they've got Damien de Allende. Don't get me wrong, he'd probably be the backup 12, but that's also where we would have seen maybe someone like a Lukhanyo, or they might have looked in a different direction for the 12, but Andre Esterhuizen certainly earning his spot into the Springboks starting lineup. But we move on to the back three now. For myself, I've gone number 11, Ethan Hooker, number 14, Edwald van der Merwe, and number 15, Damien Willemse. I thought Willemse was a little bit quiet in the game up against the French. I do see him being a lot more busy in this game up against the Italians. Also with Mani Libbok in that 10 jersey, I think that also allows Damien Willemse to play his natural attacking game. We should also mention he's another option in that number 12 jersey. We didn't even mention him throughout that last segment. But Edwald van der Merwe, he's great under a high ball. I do really want to see him get some sort of minutes here. And honestly, if there was an injury to Kurtley Arendse or Cheslin Colby, for me, he's that next guy you'd throw in. Even though Ethan Hooker's been getting a lot of game time and Rassi would probably go in that direction, I do think that Edwald van der Merwe's been incredibly underrated for what he's been able to do when given those opportunities. And then Ethan Hooker, I would still have him out on the left wing for this contest. He did great up against the ABs, and I think that in a game up against Italy here, he'd probably really thrive in this type of environment.
I agree with you with Ethan Hooker. I've got Ethan Hooker definitely on the 11th spot for me. I've gone Kanan Moody on the 14.
Oh, okay.
I put him in the 14. He's played that a few times. I've got him there. And then I've got Willemse on the 15, obviously. I could have put Kanan Moody instead of JC Kriel and Edward van der Merwe, but yeah, it's not easy. I mean, we're trying to, it's not what I would pick. I'm trying to predict what Rassi's going to do, so it's difficult. But no, I'll go Ethan Hooker, Kanan Moody, Damien Willemse on those three spots.
It is very difficult because it's very easy as well to go back to what you want to see. Like for myself, Edward van der Merwe, because he did score twice up against the Italians last match that they played straight away, I go, well, he's one of the first names on the sheet. Of course, if we were going with the strongest lineup, you're probably looking at, once again, Cheslin Colby being out on that right wing side, but they want to rest him, I would think, getting into that next game up against the Irish. But spoiled for choice, once again.
Spoiled for choice, definitely.
In the Springbok squad. But we move on to the bench. Now, there is no Andre Esterhuizen off of the bench in this contest, which means we are either going to have a 5-3 or a 6-2. There is no 5.5 or anything like that at the moment. So 6-2 or 5-3 here?
I'm going 5-3.
I'm 5-3. I have also gone with a 5-3. Now, interestingly enough, the 2 times that they played Italy throughout the July internationals, 1 game of 6-2, 1 game of 5-3. So pretty hard to tell what Rassi will go with here. But in the front row department, who have you got as your replacements in this match?
So I got Marco van Staden.
Yep.
Gerard Steenkamp.
Mm-hmm.
And I got Bongi in there as well.
You got Bongi as your number 18?
Well, he could. No, I just got those 3. I got Marco van Staden as my 18, actually.
Are you sure?
Yeah, I'm sure. I'm telling you, that is going to be that sounds crazy, but watch something like that's going to happen.
Okay, fair enough.
Because Johan Grobler, Thomas Atoy, Boone Venter, those are the 3 I've got starting. I think you can change that around. I think he's going to try to get Bongi in there somewhere. A lot of people would have said, "Nah, you got to put in Nabalakane in there as well." I don't know. I'm spoiled. I know it doesn't. From a mathematical point, it doesn't work out. I know that.
Yeah, you're very right about that.
On paper, it doesn't work. But listen here, on paper, how many times has Rassi's teams not worked?
I mean, he does love a curveball. There's normally 1 per lineup, and having 2 replacement hookers off the bench in the front row would certainly be just that. I will let you know for myself, I guess I've kind of done a bit of the same. I've got 2 replacement tight head props, but I've got 1 playing as a loose head in this contest. Yeah, Johan Grobler as my 16, Thomas de Toy at 17, so giving Gerhard Stennekamp a bit of a break, only because I keep on butchering his name, so it's easier not to put him in the side. And then number 18, Zachary Porthin as my number 18 option. Having him alongside Thomas de Toy, I think would be dangerous in the scrummaging department. Give a little bit more confidence to Johan Grobler off of the bench as well.
I was thinking of Porthin all the time. I think Rassi loves Bongi. I really do. I think he is, because how many times have we written off this man? Everybody in South Africa is written, and then Rassi puts him in the squad. Now everybody's writing him off again. Wouldn't surprise me if he doesn't put him back in the squad. That's why I've got 3 hookers playing basically out of the 23. But I'm sticking with it. And then the comments can ridicule me. Don't worry. We'll see on Thursday. Because last week I can tell you now, we actually both didn't do that bad last week.
It's true.
We got close. We both got 19 players right.
Probably that's got to be close to our best.
That's that kind of a record for us, I think.
Yeah.
And so let's see. If we get close to 19 again, I think we'll be all right.
But Bongi, he did play well up against the New Zealand 15 in terms of that side of things. And I don't know if he's been announced as an actual member of the squad or whether that was just rumoured that he was going to be the one replacing Jan-Hendrik Wessels. Because we did see Clubber Kanye come in for Oxenshire. That was the other change. And he is another guy that they may look at as an 18 option just because of that pure size going head-to-head up against the Italians. But we will move on to the other replacement forwards. For myself, number 19, Arge Snyman. I told you just before we started recording, I made a change. My change was I did have Eben Etzebeth in that number 19 jersey initially, but then the switch that I've made now is Arge Snyman back in that position. I just feel like Snyman's been so strong, and Etzebeth, if you're not going to be starting him, you may as well not have him in the 23. You're better off fully resting that guy, giving him the chance up against the Irish next week instead. And then number 20, this is where I've gone with Ben Jason Dixon. So again, he is in the squad. You would think he'd get some sort of minutes, and in this type of matchup up against the Azzurri, you'd think that this is the type of game that he'd get the crack.
I've gone Jean Klein and Jasper Visser.
Even that's a little bit of a curveball, but because of your last one, that sounds pretty timid, doesn't it?
No, because look, obviously I need one lock replacement. So I've got Jean Klein, because I know you got him in the starting lineup and you got Archie on the bench. I've gone the other way around. And I've started Ben Jason Dixon. I think Jasper Visser, he's also a little bit of a flexible player as well. So I've got him covering those, basically all the loose forwards. I've got him covering that spot, because I've got another curveball at further on, because I still think Esterhuizen can also still cover in that position.
Yeah, there is that versatility there. Jasper Visser, you could chuck him in at 8, and then from there, Ben Jason Dixon can go to 6 or 7. Exactly. You've got Mostert who can cover in your locking duos. So, yeah, you're pretty well stacked in that department. But we move on to the back replacements now. Where is this next curveball? Which jersey are we talking about?
So, well, I got Morne van der Berg on the bench.
Okay.
I've got Mani Lebok. And I've got Edwil van der Merwe. Those are my three. Like I said, if something happens in the loose forward department, move Esterhuizen out there. I can put Edwil van der Merwe in the Esterhuizen spot, not a problem. I can put Morne van der Berg on the 9. I can move Grant Williams to one of the wing positions. He played that on. So I've got a little bit of. I'm trying to be as flexible as I can. I'm trying to be Russie 2.0 here. And I think Mani Lebok is definitely. He's become our Damian McKenzie off the bench as well. Very much an impact player, doing really well. I mean, his crossfield kicks are phenomenal. So, I mean, he could start easily as well, and Andre Pollard, for me, could be on the bench. But I think we'll have Mani on the bench. So I got Morne van der Berg deserves a game. So I'll go van der Berg, Lebok, and van der Merwe.
And I do think that throughout the Rugby Championship, it was kind of that battle of who was the best impact back out of Mani Lebok or Damian McKenzie. So both men have been able to play that role very well. For myself, I've gone number 21, Morne van den Berg. Number 22, this is where I have got Andre Pollard. So like you said, it could be the other way around, but I do like the idea of Pollard making his way off the bench, maybe for about the last 30 minutes of this contest. Give him some decent game time late up against the Italians when they are starting to slow down, just because that will also build up his confidence a little bit. It sounds weird to say with a player of the caliber of Pollard, but because of the other two doing so well in that turn jersey, I feel like Pollard, he still needs to have that little bit of confidence in his own attacking ability. Pretty much like everywhere they've been saying he's no longer that much of an attacking threat. Instead, it's the other two are the shiny ones who are going to get all the tries, whereas Pollard's it's bad to say, but people have just summarized him as the boring fly half, which I think that doesn't describe Andre Pollard. I know it's not nice, is it? But that seems to be what people are trying to label him as when, you know, you look through at what he's been able to do throughout his career, and he has got that attacking skill. And up against a side like Italy, I do feel like maybe that is where we will see those cross kicks, those few big cutout pass moments for Andre Pollard to help prove the naysayers wrong. I
mean, I was thinking back, and I mean, let's not forget, let's go back to the World Cup, what this man did. Finals, semi-finals, quarterfinals, 100% kicking. Didn't miss a kick in 3 games. We won every game with 1 point. Me personally, I think, look, we don't know. Obviously, you don't know what's going on in the background. I think Rassie and Pollard have sat down together and he's explained exactly what his plan is. And his plan is definitely Pollard is still in his plan. Because if I'm going into a World Cup final, Pollard's on the bench, 100%. I don't need to start him, but I need that man in my team, because if there's anybody, 1 minute to go, we're down by 2 points against New Zealand in the final, and there's a kick from the halfway line. Is there anybody in the world rugby that you would say, would you want Feinberg taking that kick, or would you want Lebok taking that kick? No. There's where you want Pollard taking that kick in the last second, and that's where I got to build the repertoire back up of Andre Pollard. Yeah, otherwise I'm going to get hammered. No, but he's the guy you want for those. If your life depended on one kick, and you're a South African, and your life depended on one kick, and you have to choose a fly half to kick it, I think 99% of all South Africans would say Andre Pollard. So that's for me definitely Pollard. Yeah.
And the thing is, Andre Pollard, you know, it's being said a lot that him being out of the side is a bad thing. He's probably quite enjoying it, to be fair. You know, like getting a rest on the body, enjoying a little bit of off time. He's recently had a baby, so, you know, that man's probably living his best life, enjoying just traveling with the side and not having that stress.
He looks relaxed. He looks relaxed.
He looked about as calm as anyone in that matchup against France on the sideline. He looked like he was having his best time ever.
And that tells me that the discussion with Rassie, it's all part of the plan. That, you know, it's not like a player that, oh, damn it, I'm not playing him on the bench, I'm upset. He doesn't look like that. It looks like, I know exactly what the plan is. Coach has told me, we're going to play these kids now. We've got to give them, we'll be building them up for the World Cup, but I'm still his main man if it comes down to that big kick and stuff like that. Because, look, what are the chances that all 3 are going to be 100% healthy come World Cup? Yeah, I don't know. So, and Pollard also is in that 31-year-old age where a little bit less rugby is not that bad for him as well, you know?
Yeah, it's actually a luxury in some regards for international rugby, the fact that you can have a classy player that can be rested in these type of matches and you still get victories. That's the big one. Had they lost to France, there would have been a lot of criticism. But because they still won comfortably, you can get away with Pollard having the occasional spell.
You can't doubt Russi's decisions. I mean, we beat France by 15 in their own stadium, a man down. I mean, how can you even? How can the discussion be he should have played him? No, he shouldn't have. He did the exact team was the perfect team that he played. He did everything right. At the end of the day, you win, you're right. You lose, you're going to get criticized. That's just the way sports goes.
And I should mention number 23. Haven't actually said him yet. Kurtley Arendse is the last man of my 23-man side.
Okay.
Yeah, a little bit of a curveball. He does offer you the cover. I wanted to go with Cheslin Colby, but I thought off the bench, they probably wouldn't do that. So instead, I've got Arendse there, like, covering the wings. He can actually go into fullback if needed. You've got Damien Valimza, who can move into 12 if Andre Esterhuizen's injured. You've got Kane Moody, who can go out on the other wing if there's another injury there. Like, you've got so many switches that can happen, so it's all down to that versatility that was mentioned before. So I think that Morne van den Berg, Handré Pollard, and Kurtley Arendse not be a bad combination there for off of the bench. But those are our 23-man sides to face off against the Italians. Now, we have to wait a little while because this side is going to be announced at a similar time to what we did see for the French announcement, and that is going to be Thursday, South African time, I believe 1:45 p.m. in the afternoon. That's just after midnight for us here in New Zealand. We'll be keeping a close eye on it because, of course, this is going to be an interesting one. Any last-minute switches you want to make, or are you happy?
No, I'm staying with my 3 hookers. And for all Americans out there, because we have a lot of Americans on our channel, hookers are not prostitutes. They are positioned in rugby, just to let you know that. It's, no, I'm going with my 3 hookers because I think that's the curveball. And if that happens, I'll be on here next week, and then I'll let them know that I got it right. But most probably not.
All I'm going to say is if that happens, people are going to think there's a leak of some sort because there is no way that anyone else who has done a lineup prediction has gone with that.
Look, I've always made the joke on our channel. Sometimes I pick up my phone when the game's going on and something's not right. I pick up the phone and I say, look, I've got Rusty on speed dial, right? And I always make a joke. I've got Rusty on the phone. Rusty, make this change. And last time I said that, and he did make that change. The people are like, oh, you got Rusty on speed dial. I'm like, no, yeah, you're just going to pick up my phone during the game. No. But if that happens, it would be quite cool, wouldn't it?
It would be. And I would have a lot of questions, including who's going to win that next World Cup, because obviously you got that insight.
Well, I know that already. I guaranteed it, man.
But yeah, we will find out whether or not it is right. But also, ladies and gents, if you haven't already, be sure to check out VIK'S YouTube channel. They have been growing at a hugely rapid pace, up to 110,000 subscribers.
Yeah,
they've been doing all sports all around the world, including the Across the Pond series that's doing extremely well, I will mention as well. Where they do kind of dive into all the American sports, but also covering the rugby and everything else along those lines as well. But nonetheless, thank you all very much for tuning in. Of course, do let us know who you think Rassi will be selecting for his lineup. But nonetheless, thank you all very much for tuning in, and we will see you all for the next one.
Have a good one.